Okay, you know what I was going to talk about? So, you know, I had
jump right
Snapchat.
into it?
Yeah, you know how you had Snapchat open, right? I'm going to jump right into it.
Dang, okay.
You know how you had Snapchat open, right?
Yeah.
I just found out
Mm-hmm.
what a big opportunity Snapchat was and might still be. Because, like, do you know how much people are making on Snapchat?
People make money on Snapchat?
Yeah.
Doing what?
A lot of money. Like, when I say a lot, I mean, like, enough that you remember David Dobrik, how he was huge on YouTube?
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason that he only does Snapchat now. Okay,
Does
just
he
to
have
give you
a brand deal with them or something?
not because there's a lot of money in it. Okay, let me give you an example.
I don't understand. What are you making money on? Sending people snaps?
No, because now they have the other options. Like now they basically have like a TikTok on Snapchat.
I've never.
They
seen
have
that
the
in my
stories. They have the shows, the TV shows. So remember first, do you ever remember this happening like in like 2019, 2020, where like Snapchat had this thing where they're giving away $1 million a day.
No.
Do you remember hearing about that?
No.
You didn't hear about that?
No.
Well, essentially what they were doing was that in order to get people to start posting on the platform, they would give away $1 million, like pieces of $1 million away to random creators on the platform. If you got like a good amount of views, but it would be random, right? It's like TikTok. They made it a very similar platform to TikTok. And there was one girl, guess how much money she made in 6 weeks?
$1 million?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. She made $1 million. No, they weren't giving away $1 million.
Oh.
But because she just accrued, she made it so many times in that raffle, it accumulated to $1 million. They weren't just giving $1 million away to one person.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you do though to make money? You just post stories?
Yeah. At first, they were just posting stories, and then like they started sponsoring like celebrities and other content creators to come out with like TV shows. So you know how whenever you go to that tab and you see like news shows or like random.
I would see them, but I never ever watched them.
Well, there are people apparently watching them because that was the next big thing, and they were giving away like hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars to creators every year to create shows on that platform.
Are they still doing that?
Yeah. And then
all right, I'm about to apply.
Well, like it might be too late because there's a whole other thing going on. I'll tell you about that after. But where's my phone?
Amir, you're gonna put your phone on Do Not Disturb.
Okay, we're back. I fixed the issue. Don't worry. So to get back to what we were talking about, so Snapchat. So I saw a video of they knew how to get me, right? They titled it like why David Dobrik left YouTube, and I was like, I have to watch this because they had a Snapchat thing in it, and I knew something about Snapchat because he hasn't been active on all his other platforms that he got pretty big, like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, all those things. He was kind of quiet on those, and then they realized that like he was posting almost 200 stories a day on TikTok, on Snapchat. I keep saying TikTok because that's how much they got us in our heads, okay? we can't say nothing but TikTok. But he was on Snapchat. And the reason for that is because, like, you know how when you're watching, whether it be like Snapchat stories, it depends on who you're following, if they're verified or not. Or on other platforms, there's ads that pop up in between them.
Okay.
Yeah, so those ads, every time that ad pops up in between one of their stories, they get 50% of the revenue from that ad. So just scale that up. Let's say you're getting 1,000 views per story, whatever, and then you're getting like 100 ads in between. You're getting like, and each of the ads, let's say is $1 per ad. You're getting like $50 for
a day.
Yeah, like if you're posting like one story, but then multiply that if you're posting 200 stories a day, 300 stories a day. So when they were like trying to calculate roughly how much he's making on there, because I was wondering like how is he still like living money? How is he still living in a mansion and doing all these things while not putting out any content that like we're aware of? And it's because they calculated it. He's making about $25,000 a day.
Sorry?
$25,000 a day.
First of all,
on Snapchat.
What the hell does he do on a daily basis for him to be posting 200 stories? And who watches that?
Well, he's doing roughly what he would be doing on his YouTube videos, but like he doesn't go as crazy as he used to. He just posts about, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he's doing, okay?
No, but like
that's
who
not,
watches it?
It doesn't matter.
It does.
People will watch whatever. They're interested in people's lives as long as you post those 200 stories and there's someone clicking through those.
That's wild.
And seeing the ads in between them. he's getting 50% of that revenue, and that can add up to about 25,000 to and some have estimated around $30,000 to $40,000 a day.
Well, I mean, I guess because he has millions of followers, but like, imagine trying to get to that point. It's gonna take you forever.
Yeah, but that's because you're scaling up to his thing. But even if you're a smaller creator, if you're able, since they've made it like a very TikTok-ish platform when it comes to your visibility, you can start posting every single day a bunch of stories. And if just due to the algorithm, you might build up a following depending on who you are, how you look, what you do, what you're trying to promote, like either your lifestyle. If it's somewhat interesting, you can build up a following on the platform pretty easily now, and make even if you make a tenth, even if you make a hundredth of that $30,000 or $40,000 a day, that's a still pretty good income to be making just from posting on Snapchat. And everybody thought of Snapchat, or at least I thought of Snapchat of like a quote unquote dead platform. Like, I didn't really think that people were using it, but that's why every time I see you guys using it, I would ask you. You can even attest to this. Like, I'd be like, "You guys are still using Snapchat?"
But I told you, like, I literally only use it to fulfill my streaks, but I don't actually use any other feature on it. Like, I don't know what's going on there. Like, well, I rarely ever look at that page that has, like, I've seen it before. Yeah. And I've always wondered, like, what are these random things? But I never cared to watch it.
See, but there are other people who probably do that and still continue to use it for those other features as well. Yeah. At least I think that's what the company is hoping, because it turned out when the guy was like doing this thing, he was going to end off with that whole thing of like finding out where David Dobrik is, but he was doing more like an investigative journalism style video. So he dug a little deeper. He's like, so how is Snapchat actually making money? Yeah. And like, Snapchat technically is making billions of dollars a year in revenue. How? Just from selling ads, because when you sell ads, they're making money from that, right? But when they actually found out what their net income was, which is after everything is paid off, they're actually in the hole every year. So they're even though they're getting billions of dollars in revenue every year, they're spending billions of dollars in those billions of dollars every year to and either like content creators, like keeping up with the platform, all those things. So
then what's the point? Like,
so it's kind of like what?
Isn't it eventually going to fail? Like, you can't be losing money every single year.
Well, there are a lot of companies that are losing money. Twitter's losing money every year. Okay, yeah. That's why Elon Musk has been having so much backlash now, because he's been trying to like milk as much money out of the platform as he can to make it somewhat profitable, because he bought it. He couldn't get out of the deal anymore after he found out that they weren't really making money, and now he's kind of stuck with it. So he's got to like put up things like paying for the verification, thing, right? Which is the same thing that Meta did with Instagram. I
actually got a notification on Instagram, and it was like, do you want to have a blue check mark? I'm like, F that shit. I don't need it.
But people are paying for it. I saw someone who been paying for it.
Why would you literally pay to have a blue check mark next to your name?
Well, it makes sense business wise. It makes sense like does it? What do you call it again? Legitimacy wise. Like, if you're trying to build your own platform, even if you're paying for it, like it makes you seem more legitimate to a lot of people, because not a lot of people are gonna dig into that, right? Like, and just to be fully transparent, like, I mean, not transparent, but to kind of expose or like bring down the curtain a little bit, a lot of those people who you see with verifications pre this whole paying for it outwardly, they were paying for it already. Yeah, I'm sure. People have always been paying for verification. It wasn't really like, it was kind of like kept hush hush, but people still knew they were paying for verification. Now it's just more out in the open, made more affordable to the regular people. Yeah. So you're kind of just being classist, if I'm being honest, by saying, who's going to pay for verification? They're always doing before. They just made it more available to the people. I'm just saying.
I'm not being classist. I'm just saying, like, I guess it's the same sort of concept of like, why would you buy brand name clothing? Because it elevates your, I guess, your outward appearance. And why would you pay for a blue check mark? Because it elevates your brand, if that's what you want, if that's what you're trying to do. Exactly. I guess, but personally,
well, now it pays to be a brand, or like to be seen as legitimate online. So why wouldn't you?
Yeah, if you consider that an investment for your company.
Exactly. Or not only your company, just as an individual. Because there was a video I watched where they went to like, I guess a quote unquote influencer gym in it's called Zoo Culture. I saw a video where they went up to a bunch of, I guess, influencers or just people in the gym who are working on building up their brand. And these people didn't have like the millions of followers yet, but they had verifications, and they went up to them like, did you pay for your verification? And a lot of them were honest. They're like, yeah, we paid for it. And even the biggest one there, the guy who owns the gym, he admitted that like before people were able to pay for it outright, like he paid up to almost 20 grand to get his verification. Yeah.
Should we pay for a verification on Cousin Connection? Like, would you guys think that we're more legit if we have a blue check mark next to our name?
I'm just saying, man.
How much is it?
Well, that I think it's a monthly payment. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's going to throw me off. If it was like a one-time thing, I'd be like, yeah, let's just do it.
Yeah.
But if it's not, and I'm totally going back on everything I just said, right? But like, I'm saying if it really does help legitimize your brand, then that not that I don't like whether you have a check mark or not. I'm not gonna say that you're not legit. Like we're legit. We do this every single week. Like we put in work for this podcast. Yeah. So I don't think a check mark defines whether or not we're the real deal.
But when you're trying to get a sponsorship from a company and you message them in their DMs, who do you think they're gonna reply to? Someone without a check or with someone with a check? And what are the chances that company is gonna look into how you got that check?
Well, I can understand what you mean. Yeah. However, it's not even because, like, look, right? Like, if let's just say you have 10,000 followers on Instagram, that looks like a big number compared to someone who has like 2,000 followers on Instagram, right? Yeah. And if you're thinking about it from a marketing standpoint, both people DM the page, and then they let's say you're reviewing both of their cases or like their decks if they have a presentation for you. Wouldn't you rather go for the person who has a higher engagement? Because let's say like the 10,000 follower person tells you like, okay, my engagement isn't that high. Like out of 10,000 followers, I get like 500 views on my story. Yeah. Versus the 2,000 follower one who says like, okay, I get like 70% of my followers that view and interact with my story. I would go with the 2,000 follower one, and you never know, because I feel like when you like, obviously it's relative to each individual, but like, maybe their pricing will be different. The person who has 10K in their mind probably thinks that they're worth more versus the 2,000 follower one who maybe has like lesser rates, right? And then that means better for the company because they have to spend less to get the same marketing. Yeah, which is why they have a term for it now, which is called micro influencer. Yeah, micro influencer, where they're finding people with like less than 10,000 followers. A micro influencer? Yeah, technically we would be considered one. So they're finding people, but usually a lot of the people who are more grassroots, I guess you could say, because they're closer. Since they're still building their audience, they're closer to their audience, and they feel more accessible to their audience. Yeah. Then their audience is more willing to listen to what they have to say than someone who has 100,000 followers, but they're a little bit out of touch. Yeah, they're kind of out of touch, or they feel like at more of a distance from their followers. I mean, I kind of feel like that with ours too. Like for us, when we were growing our channel and our page on whether it's TikTok TikTok's a little bit different, but mostly Instagram and even YouTube, there were a lot of followers who like, they were like the regulars, like they would DM us often, interact with us often, and so we just started having like conversations. And now like even in YouTube comments, like I'll see the people that normally comment, and I'm like, oh my god, hey, like you're alive, how are you? So and then sometimes I think about it like, oh, one day, inshallah, like when we have thousands of followers, like, am I still going to be able to keep up with responding to everybody's comments? And it makes me feel kind of bad. Yeah. Why? Because I don't want them to feel abandoned. Oh, yeah. I can see that. Yeah. Because I feel like we've created this rapport now. And like they know us and we kind of know them, sort of. Like some people tell us about their lives and their story. Yeah. But then when you're going through it, you'll probably see it. Yeah. Like I'm not going to lie. Faster, yeah. I'm not going to lie. Like sometimes like when we post something and we get a lot of DMs, like I recognize like the ones that message us often, and I'll open those first. Yeah, exactly. Sorry for those who I may not have responded to yet. It's hard sometimes. Yeah, because you get overwhelmed, and then you're like, okay, I'll just respond to like 1, 2, and then you're there for 2 hours, like so.
Yeah, but the influencer game is also like when it comes to comparing, like you were mentioning earlier, we were comparing like engagement. Even that now is so like muddied through like people paying for engagement.
People can pay. I thought you could
People
just
can
pay for followers.
No, people can pay for. There was a big like controversy recently with a channel called Unbox Therapy, where people were accusing them of paying for views and paying for not only for followers, because they already had millions of followers, but for paying for views.
But views doesn't necessarily equate to engagement, does it?
But no, you can pay for views. You can pay for comments. You can
what?
Pay,
like
you
bots
can pay for anything now.
Bots will comment?
Bots will comment. You can pay for anything now.
Yo.
You can pay for as much engagement you want, as many people you want to watch your story, as many people you want to leave a comment,
think of
like
this
a
concept.
story, like a video.
Think of this concept,
What?
okay? Let's just imagine you decide to open up a page and you have a lot of cash that you can throw around, okay?
Yeah.
And you literally pay for your platform.
Yeah.
Your fans, your engagement, your product, whatever.
Yeah.
You could get any brand deal that you want now, because you could technically sell the fact that like you have high engagement, you have a lot of followers, good quality content.
Yeah, there are people who will fake it till they make it. And there's a lot of like bigger people that you wouldn't be aware of that have done that at one point, because to them it's an investment. Like unless someone...
Are we doing it wrong, Amir?
What?
Are we doing this wrong?
Technically, like, well...
like, what are we doing?
Yeah, like there's the legitimate way of doing things, and then there's the illegitimate way. And a lot of people, you know, because they see the money in this, they start to be like, you know, let me just do this. But then when you do something once that you know is wrong, it becomes easier to do it again, right? Just like anything.
Yeah, when you think about it, like when you let your morals get in the way, when you think about it morally, I don't think I could actually like comfortably like pay for my platform like that.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised what a person can convince themselves that they're doing for the right reason, depending on like what their ultimate goal is. Because for them, they're like, nah, but with the money that I'm going to make, I'm going to be able to provide to more charities. I'm going to be able to do good things for my family, buy them a home, retire them. And that can convince you to do a lot of things you wouldn't normally do.
Yes and no, because I think, you know what sells nowadays is like authenticity, right? Imagine we're sitting here recording this podcast knowing damn well we paid for all of our viewers. Like, who are we addressing? The bots? I don't think I could do that.
There are people who
like
do that.
I wouldn't be able to take myself seriously. If I'm like, hey guys, who are the guys? The bots?
Well, like you can think about it like when you're first starting out and you don't have any followers yet, you're still doing the same thing, aren't you? You're addressing an audience that doesn't exist yet.
But I was imagining that it would be like our friends and family watching it. So I'm like, all right.
So yeah, maybe those people still know that their friends and family are watching. Or maybe they have even had a smaller following and then they just added on top of that.
I guess I was just like thinking of the extreme case. But like, you know.
That's why I'm saying like it's very muddied because like there are people who may pay for like a small boost in certain things. Oh yeah, we need to kind of oil these up.
Damn. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, we gotta oil these things up a bit. Okay, it's been a while. That's what happens when we live for a few weeks. It's just everything just kind of got creaky,
and rusty.
Yeah, I'm sure that wasn't doing that before we left.
It's never done that before. I was able to move this.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's just the whole. The influencer game is a very interesting thing. I've always been
changed so much.
It has been changing a lot.
Like I don't know. Like the other day I was at work and I randomly remembered Jenna Marbles, and I'm just then I was like deep in thought, like remembering YouTube at that time, like her and like Shay Carl
and
like
back.
You told me he was back, right?
Yeah, he's been posting almost daily vlogs recently.
That was his thing before, right?
He used to
post
he was like the original, one of the original.
Yeah.
Except for the other guy was Charles Trippy, who is still to this day.
Who was that again? I know the name.
He used to have a channel with it used to be Charles and Ali.
Yeah.
But then they broke up.
Was he?
And he married another girl named Ali.
He has a band.
Yeah, he's part of We the Kings. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. Wow. That was like early 2000s or early 2010s, I think.
Early 2006. He started at the beginning of YouTube.
2006?
Like I think 2007, 2008, maybe actually. But he started at the beginning to the point where he's still daily vlogging to this day. He still hasn't missed a day. He has a Guinness World Record for it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he hasn't missed a day now. And he actually like writes down I'm still following him. Every day I still see like he'll put the number of the day and then whatever the video is.
Damn.
Yeah. There's a lot that's
I
been
can't
going
believe
on.
he's still vlogging. But like, I was just remembering those days and how simple. Like, it was so simple. I'm like, damn, Amir should have just kept up with his gaming channel.
Yeah.
We would have all been retired.
Hey, there's always time, man. There's 40-year-olds out here who are making it big on YouTube.
Yeah, and I think...
And I'm only saying YouTube, but there are a bunch of platforms now.
I know. And I think at the end of the day, like, if your end goal is to make money and you're like super determined, I think you're gonna end up getting there. Like,
yeah. Maybe that's why I just do it, because like it was never to make money.
Yeah.
It was more for fun, and like I didn't always game all the time.
Yeah, and even with this, like, you know, sometimes when I'm thinking about it, I think if we didn't have jobs and like this was our only source of income, I feel like we would have been pumping out a lot more content and like a lot sooner, and like probably multiple videos in a week and on all the platforms, you know. But like this is more so, it's always kind of been like a hobby for us.
Yeah.
And then like the income that we make is always like a bonus.
Yeah.
Inshallah, one day, like if it's lucrative enough where we can ditch our day jobs.
Inshallah.
And we have Cousin Connection
I'm telling
production.
you, we should open an Etsy store and just start selling merch.
Well, yeah, like merch is obviously like, you know, a goal in the near future. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Don't wink, wink, nudge them. Like, hey, we're like literally like dream board stage.
But it's still, listen, you gotta put your goals to fruition.
Whatever they call that board. Is it a dream board?
No, it's not a dream board.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? Something board.
Vision board.
Vision board. That's
like,
what it is. Yeah.
It's something.
Vision, dream, you know, they're both the synonyms of one another, right? I'm just saying, right? No?
Yeah, but the correct terminology is vision board.
Whatever.
But, you know, inshallah, things will come to life soon, hopefully. And we're excited for that chapter too, but we'll announce that when it actually comes.
Exactly. How long was my rant there? Oh, shoot.
24 minutes. All right. Now we're going to do our intro.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Cousin
Connection podcast.
We are so close to hitting 100 episodes that I'm almost like, how is it only like, I feel like we've recorded way more than 100.
Have we?
I feel like we have.
We've recorded like other videos that maybe don't. I know we've always counted them as a number. No, like hijabi talks. Those
ones, yeah, but like, you know, that one that we did with Khalid, that review of that zombie show. What was that? Zombie show called?
The Last of Us. Did you ever finish it? Sarah,
listen, my focus now is Marvel. Because the other day...
there's no way you're finishing... I gave up on the Marvel.
No. Let
me
tell you
something.
She's
not finishing Marvel, guys. She's not serious.
Because I feel like you failed me.
No.
One of my coworkers is also really into Marvel.
Yeah.
Like, he's like the one that collects comic books and stuff. And he was like, oh, do you guys want to go see the Flash movie? I'm like, what's the Flash movie?
It's not Marvel. That's not Marvel.
Yeah, it is.
The Flash?
I thought it was Marvel.
See? This is why I said, guys, she's done.
Is that not Marvel?
No, that's DC. That's like Batman and Superman. Come on, Sada. And you're talking about the Marvel guy. This is the Marvel guy talking about DC.
All right, well then,
okay?
my case is closed. I can't even finish my
That
statement.
movie actually flopped too, eh?
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like I don't know if it had anything to do with. Remember how I mentioned Ezra Miller at one point?
Who's that again?
When I mentioned like Ezra Miller versus Jonathan Majors, like Ezra Miller is the main actor in the movie who plays the Flash, but he's had a lot of controversy with like kidnapping, beating women, kidnapping children, holding people at gunpoint.
Sorry, can I just say?
What?
Don't actors have to do background checks?
But these are all things he's done like recently.
They just hire anybody?
He's done these things recently. He was already the Flash at this point.
Oh, okay.
And he just went crazy. Like he started doing all these things.
That's pretty messed
He came
up.
out as like non-binary. There's a lot of things he was doing.
Well, being non-binary is not a crime, but
no. I mean like just like there are things that were happening, and those are just one of the things that came out that it caused a lot of controversy at the time because they were like, oh, is this him trying to get into the left's good side? Oh, because this happened as all these things were coming out. So it was like people thought it was a PR move at first.
Him coming out as non-binary?
Yeah.
That's so random.
But it is just part of the controversy.
Okay.
Speaking
of controversies.
What?
Apparently, Demi Lovato, who recently came out as, or not came out, but started to identify as non-binary, has now switched her pronouns back to she, her, because she said it was too confusing. And I was like, Miss Ma'am, for her fans, I guess, and people referring to her.
But then again, she's always been an interesting case.
Yeah, and like
she's always been a little
like I don't know.
She's a child star.
No, is she?
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, okay, I guess. But like I feel like I was such a huge Demi fan.
Yeah, you were biased, that's why.
No, it was just
you didn't see the crazy eyes.
I mean, I did, but like much later. But I always had sympathy for her, like deep down. I'm like,
yeah, because you have bias.
She's troubled, you know.
Yeah, it's the kind of like the classic story of a lot of Disney stars of what happens to them, right?
Yeah,
like because they're introduced to a lot of adult things at an early age.
Yeah,
and they have no one to guide them on like how to react to these things happening around them.
Have you ever seen her documentary? I don't know if you've seen it, but she was basically saying like when she was talking about, this was the one where she spoke about her OD and like all that kind of stuff, and she was basically saying like even though she had two parents, they couldn't tell her nothing because she was their source of income. So she was like, if y'all try to discipline me, I'm gonna kick you out of my house.
Exactly. And that's when, as a parent, I won't say they failed, but they should have taken her out of it and been like, it's not worth the money to lose our child to this thing.
Yeah, but like,
and maybe they didn't realize like how severe it would become. But like, if I was a parent in that situation, okay, I can't say like I don't know the exact situation.
Yeah.
But if how you described it, if it happened to me, I'd be like, oh, okay, you're gonna threaten me by saying like I'm your only bread source of money. Like I'll get a job, and we'll just go back to living a regular life.
But it's hard. Like, I think, you know, it's one thing to have, like, imagine you're a parent. I guess it's hard for us to even imagine that type of life. But imagine you have a regular life, like right now. Yeah. Okay. Then you have this child who turns out to be.
My life is amazing. What are you talking about?
No, I know, but I'm like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Don't worry.
Then you have this child who becomes a friggin' superstar. Yeah. Like you have a Hannah Montana type of child. Yeah. Okay. Regular kid by day, superstar by night.
Okay.
You get the best.
I don't know if she's the best example because her dad was already a star, but you know, I understand. I understand.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, Ryan's Toys kind of thing.
Sorry?
Ryan's Toys, you know, on YouTube, who's like a kid who he started reviewing toys and they started getting millions of views, and the parents just like started using him to make money because he would just review toys and they would make millions of dollars.
Okay, yeah.
Like that.
Something like that, right? And then if you stop your child from doing whatever it is, acting, singing, whatever the case is, there goes your, like, basically your source of income. And if you're used to a certain lifestyle, like your whole life is now intertwined. Like, let's say you have the mansion, you have the nannies, you have the cars, you have maybe a business behind you, so now you have employees. You can't just stop the child from working, because then your whole life, like, changes, right? Like you can no longer have a business because how are you going to sustain it without the income, right? You can no longer have employees or nannies or the mansion or the cars or whatever the case is. It's so hard for them to make that decision of like my child's well-being or the riches and the money. Yeah,
that's where like strong morals really come into play.
I'm sure the parents had morals, but I think
no, like very strong ones. Like you can have morals, but if they're easily like bypassed by like flashing a little money in front of you, then how strong were they really?
A lot of people can be bought with money, but also it's like these kids and the parents who are not used to the Hollywood lifestyle, they're probably bound by contracts, right? And they probably don't have enough at the time to have lawyers to look over things and make sure that they're actually being protected. And so now, like,
contracts are a big part of it, where a lot of times people are trapped in certain situations.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they can't do anything even if they wanted to.
Yeah. And that kind of sucks, you know, because I feel like it has really messed with so many of like the child stars that we grew up watching. And then sometimes I'm like, you know who I was always a big fan of, who like, she's pretty straight and narrow now?
Hilary Duff.
How'd you know I was going to say that?
I just knew it.
How'd you know?
Because Hilary Duff is the only person I know that came out almost perfectly fine. Well, like unscathed.
She like went through like, I think like there was a period of time. Did she have a period? She wasn't like, it was only really considered a scandal at the time because this was like the early 2000s. But there was at one point she was suffering from like an eating disorder.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know about that. Yeah.
And she was also dating a Joel Madden from Good Charlotte.
Okay.
But like he was like significantly older than her, and I think she was like 18 or 19.
Yeah,
so
you know, everybody's got a phase. Everybody's got a phase, okay?
But like, look at her now.
Yeah.
She's doing great for herself.
Exactly.
So I knew watching the Lizzie McGuire movie was a good, like...
Yeah. But she's done something, like, maybe she's working with Illuminati because she looks exactly the same.
No, it's just Botox.
Oh, I guess so, yeah.
Speaking of Botox.
Botox or Illuminati, you know, which one's more cooler?
Speaking of Botox, though. Yeah. Someone from work, I don't want to expose her in case she listens to this.
Yeah.
But she told me, so we used to always like she used to always tell me how she suffered from like chronic sweating, like you do.
Yeah. I don't have chronic sweating, okay? I just have really sweaty armpits.
I feel like you should now insert a montage of all the times you complained about sweating here.
I don't think I've ever complained about... Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you have.
I thought you meant like show me sweating. Okay, whatever.
No,
okay.
You didn't do that.
Yeah.
But she got Botox under her arms.
Yeah,
to stop the sweating.
That makes sense. There are a lot more people who are more... It's less taboo now and more like part of the normal. People go to get like small or even sometimes a little bit big like cosmetic surgery.
But then I was like, how do your armpits feel? And she's like, they're not like bone dry, but it's so much. But she's like, look, I'm wearing a blouse today and I have no sweat stains. And then in my head, I'm like, wow, that's real. Like, I can't believe that's actually like a problem for some people.
Yeah.
So then I was like, yo, like, how much is it? Because you know what? I don't sweat on my body as much, but my face, you know, you've seen it before. I don't know. I think it's just like part of like our, like my mom's side of the family. They all sweat. And my dad's side, actually, they like, sweat really easily. So she told me it was $50 per milliliter.
And how many milliliters are they using? Because if it's like $50 per milliliter, and it's like, okay, we're gonna put 100 milliliters of saline in here and 100 or whatever they put in.
Yeah, because she like the total was 600.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, so that's only like six millimeters. Milliliters? No, because 650. So that's
What's
30.
600 divided by
50? That's 3.
30 milliliters.
6 milliliters. Yeah, 6 milliliters.
No,
it's 600. Oh no, 12 milliliters.
Amir, you went to Kumon. You should know this.
It's 12 milliliters.
What?
12 milliliters, so milliliters
times 50?
total. No. Yeah, okay, 12 times 50. Yeah, 600.
It's 600. Are you sure?
Yeah, because 6 times 50 is 300. So that means, so that must be...
Yeah, 6 and 6. Yeah. Good math.
Okay, good. No, we really struggled at the beginning there.
I feel like the Zach. I was trying to do the math in the sky, like 6. I wasn't going anywhere with that.
I was trying to do quick math. It did not work.
I trusted you.
I tried. I got there eventually, okay? Yeah.
But then she was explaining to me, I was like, oh, how often do you have to get it?
Yeah.
And she's like, you know, like every like 6, like between 4 to 6 months. And I was like, so you're going to do it twice a year, basically? And she was like, well, I don't really sweat in the winter, so I'm just going to come once a year in the summer.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's pretty smart. And then she also said that it's covered with our like insurance benefit at work.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, Botox? Yo, I'm about to get rid of all these wrinkles.
Yeah, but it can't be 100% covered.
No, it was
100% covered.
Yeah, I got covered. I know, which is wild. I'm about to get Botox, guys. I'm just kidding.
I don't think I sweat that badly in my armpits though. I do sweat overall, but it usually depends on like the situation and how excited I get. If I keep myself cool.
You know when I actually sweat?
What? When?
Like I am when I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the worst. And nervous sweat is like it's like sweat beads form. Like I literally can't stand it.
But like everyone does that, no?
Nervous sweating?
Yeah. Like where you just get like you get that weird like where every hair on your body like stands up for a second and then you just feel the sweat start coming.
Yeah, or it's like just like when I have like a lot of anxiety, it's just like I'm sweating profusely. I'm like, is anybody else like dying here? Like remember when that time that I went to Alberta like 2 years ago?
Yeah, but that's because it was really hot, no?
No, I was sweating.
Because the car situation.
Yeah, because I was driving.
Yeah.
And it was like in the middle of the night and they had no street lights there.
Yeah.
And the car was unreliable that we were driving.
Yeah.
And there were massive trucks.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking, Amir. I usually, like, when I drive, I'm pretty relaxed. I was sitting like this, like upright angle, both hands on the wheel.
Yeah.
For 3 hours straight.
No, that makes sense.
Like, I was gripping that steering
That's like when people
wheel.
say, like, when they're watching video, like, my hands got sweaty. It's the same thing. Like, I think it happens for everyone where when you get nervous, you just start to get sweaty and your hands get palmy and like, I don't know, maybe it's like just a natural response. I'm trying to think like how would that help you in a survival response? I guess it's because your adrenaline is pumping.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah, so because your heart rate is so high, like you're just going to start burning calories, and the only way that it's going to escape is through sweat, or that's how normally it escapes.
I think so. But then like I know there are like antiperspirants for like anxiety sweaters and stuff, but because I'm thinking like when she was telling me about it, I'm like, yo, that's kind of cool. Like maybe I should consider doing that too. But then I'm like, isn't there like a side effect?
There's
like,
side effects for everything.
Yeah, but I'm sure if you're blocking the sweat glands in your body from producing or not producing, what's the word? Like
extruding sweat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that like a bad thing?
Well, yeah, I feel like there's a side effect for everything. I guess it just depends on like how severe the issue is versus like the side effects. Like if you feel like you're gonna be the side effects are worth whatever you're trying to protect yourself from, then it kind of becomes a good balance. I don't know.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, you know what I'm saying. Okay, yeah.
Sure.
We were originally talking about Ezra Miller, by the way, and we were going back.
Were we?
Yeah.
Who's Ezra Miller?
Huh? That's what we were trying to talk about when I talked about like how he was,
up my words.
and you were talking about like watching The Flash, and then you didn't know you thought that was part of Marvel, and it was actually part of DC.
But can you just confirm he's a red guy with lightning bolts as ears?
Yeah,
or like in his head or something.
Well, like he wears a suit that's red, and it has lightning bolts on the ear.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could have sworn he was Marvel.
But that movie, people are saying like a part of the reason that movie flopped was because of all the controversy that he was surrounding.
So they kept him in the movie?
Yeah, exactly. So all that stuff was happening, and Sony was like, or was it Sony or Warner Bros. Was like, we're still going to keep him. Like they didn't think it was worth like recasting him and having a new actor do it versus just having him come out there, apologize, and like move forward with it.
Was he wildin' before the film was shot or after the film was shot?
I think it was like during and after. So he like up until like last year.
They really got to start doing background checks. I'm sorry. I would have just.
But I think him. Like he was. I don't think he was that. Maybe he did have some controversy before that, like, right?
Cancel culture is so big now. Like you can get canceled for anything.
I don't think background checks will even help these days because, like, things are happening. Like the thing that goes back to what I mentioned before with Jonathan Majors, right? Like if you did a background check on him, he would have came up clean.
He's a black guy from Creed, or not Creed? Creed
from Creed, and also from the new Marvel. He's a new. You didn't watch this movie, so you don't know him. He plays Kang in that one. But he had that controversy where he was accused of beating his girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
And then like he lost. And he was about to become the next big thing for Marvel. And he probably still is going to be because recently a lot of information came out that kind of like made the situation look really bad for the girlfriend and made him look very good.
Really? What happened?
Like it came out that like basically it comes down to her making a false allegation about him beating her when really she just ended up getting drunk in his room and like she was found on the bed by him already with like a bloody fist and drinking and like with pills next to her or whatever.
But how do you prove that? How do you prove that?
Because he brought in the police. He called the police. He's the one who called. I said, hey, this girl's drunk and like is bloody on my bed and knocked out from pills and thing. Like, can you come and get her? Yeah, but and there's a lot of like people who are kind of backing up his story. But yeah, but just aside from that, like to go back to the original point of doing a background check, like things can still happen when you're becoming that character, when you're getting that role that's gonna make this company a lot of money or whatever, or make this studio a lot of money. Yeah, so
Hollywood is a corrupt place. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, it is. You know, everything that's gonna involve a lot of money and millions and billions of dollars, you can't really avoid corruption from that. Just because people are people, they're gonna do those things.
Speaking of billions,
what?
We gotta talk about it.
OceanGate?
Yeah.
That's literally a topic I wrote down. It was supposed to be the first one, but then I got distracted.
I know, you did. But maybe...
Why did it become the biggest thing on the internet for a week? Literally from the last time we recorded till now, it became the big, and it stopped.
So I saw a TikTok.
Yeah.
That said that it might actually, like this was a conspiracy theory, that they faked their death because they were probably owing something or they had some sort of legal issues. And I was like,
I think the other information that came out makes it a lot more plausible, or makes it a lot more reasonable to understand that like the guy who was running this thing, the CEO who went down with them and ended up dying as well, he just like, he kind of screwed everyone over.
He owed somebody money.
No, because like they were, first off, he didn't get like any certifications for that submarine. He built it with materials he wasn't supposed to be building it with. He had only one button on the inside of that whole submarine, and he had a gaming controller to control the submarine.
Did you see the video that was recorded after they went down? So like this guy was like, I'm gonna go, like he went into it. I saw a TikTok where he made a video
after they went down.
Like this was after they went missing.
Yeah.
So someone basically went into the same sort of submarine, like the same OceanGate. Is it?
Oh, like a similar one that
the
they
Titan,
built.
right?
Yeah.
Isn't it called Titan or something?
But they made
like
it like a second one, and
they made a second
one.
Yeah. He went into it and he showed the inside.
Yeah.
And then everyone in the comments they were like, why didn't they have it? Like they're literally billionaires. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Why wouldn't they have recorded it? There was a 19-year-old on there. And then they're like, well, the video probably imploded with them in the ocean. And this guy came back up, but like he was like,
what do you mean he came back up?
Like he went in the submarine. They didn't go as deep to the Titanic.
Oh yeah.
But he just wanted to see what it was like going inside.
Oh yeah.
And it's literally like, imagine like a whatever shape this is, like this, like a cylinder.
A small little cylinder, yeah.
And it's just hollow. And they're
talking about the ship, the submarine,
the spaceship, the submarine.
Yeah.
I thought like, I've never actually seen the inside of a submarine, but in my mind, I thought there would be like seats. It was going to be a lot bigger. This was like so small.
No, I'm telling you, he literally didn't follow any regulations. They were sitting down crisscross applesauce.
Yeah. But I was like, that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
They were stuck in that for like 50 hours or however many hours.
Before it completely imploded. They probably imploded within the first 24 hours. Like when they were lost, that's probably when they died. Because this thing literally went from becoming a tube to becoming like a flat piece of metal in a millisecond. So they didn't feel it. They died instantly, which is
better for
them.
Yeah.
But like it was bound to happen because all the experts who were speaking about this thing beforehand were already saying like, this is going to happen. Like we know this is not going to work.
So why didn't anyone stop him?
Because he's a billionaire. He didn't care. They were literally, it was so bad to the point where their employees or like previous employees who were fired because they started like whistleblowing a couple years ahead, like earlier when they were developing this thing and saying like the moves you're making right now and the things that you're not doing that you should be doing, like you're going to end up killing somebody. And those workers who called that out were fired. So it's interesting. I guess it makes you realize that like no matter how much money you have, because the passengers on there should have also had a bunch of money. Like they were paying $250,000 per seat.
They were. There's the guy that went with his son was also, he's like the CEO of something, I'm pretty sure.
He owns I can't remember, but I forget what he did, but they were essentially all billionaires.
Yeah.
But like it shows you that no matter how much money you have, it doesn't make you any smarter in making better decisions.
Mm-hmm. But the son apparently was really scared and had like a full-on panic attack right before he went in. And then I was like, damn, like his dad must have peer pressured him. Like, do you know how much I paid for your ticket?
Exactly.
And then the poor kid died.
Yeah. But it was just crazy how like, and people pointing out how, first off, it blew up on the internet. And
I think because of how bizarre the situation was. Like,
yeah,
the first part that like was getting people's attention was the fact that they paid $250,000 for a seat in that submarine. And then the fact that it was like exploring the Titanic, and they're like, how ironic, like you're exploring the Titanic and then you end up.
Well, yeah, I think the thing that also blew it up was all the memes that people were making, because immediately when people found that older video or earlier video of like
Simpsons?
of the some news agency that went out and interviewed the CEO, and they actually went into the submarine and like looked at it to see, and he was like pointing out how it only has one button and all these things. When people saw that, and then he pointed out the controller, people started making memes of that immediately. Like, this guy, like, it would show like them in the water, and it would show like controller disconnected, and like the memes just did not stop. They were coming out.
That's kind of insensitive, though.
And this is before they even found out they were dead yet. So there was a chance that these people were like suffocating and just going through the worst imaginable thing that can happen to a human being of like suffocating underwater and not being able to escape. And people were making jokes and like memes about this the whole time.
That's wild.
Yeah. And then immediately once it was found out that it imploded and everything was done, it's like what do you call it again? Just went blank on the internet. Like everyone's kind of just done with it. And
then, but there was also the other story of like the 700 people that were trying to like basically looking to migrate from or immigrate from, I can't remember where. I don't know, but I know that the ship that they were on had 700 of them, and it like sank. There was like a shipwreck. Was that what it's called when it crashes? When it sinks?
Shipwreck. Yeah.
In the Greek waters.
Was it refugees?
Was trying to, like they were trying to go to Italy.
I think I heard about that. I saw.
And there was like barely any coverage anywhere because everyone was so focused on OceanGate. And it was like all these people that were just trying to find, an opportunity for a better life. Yeah. And like so many of them didn't make it.
Yeah. I think it's because like people like sensationalism. They like something that's relatable, what they can make a story out of.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
What?
Paying $250K for a ticket is not relatable.
No, I mean like something they can make, like they already can make a villain out of that and be like, oh, like those people, they probably deserved it, or like, oh, these people, there are so many ways to come at it, and that they just found it more interesting, I guess, in a way, because there's not really much you can say about people drowning on a ship. Like that's just a very sad situation.
Yeah. And
unfortunately, like a lot of the internet, they seem like they're so fatigued on all that information that they would rather just have like something unordinary or like something out of the blue that they can focus on more, like that submarine situation.
Yeah, I guess so. It was just like,
because we would prefer to have people focusing on more things. Like we never even mentioned it yet, like the situation in Ethiopia while we were in Sweden.
Let's actually hold that thought and just take a really quick break before we come back.
Okay, yeah, we'll be back in a second. Okay, we're back. And we didn't mention this yet, but when we were on vacation, that's when it kind of like reached its pinnacle. Is in Ethiopia, there's a situation where the government was clearing a certain piece of land for new developments, but what they started doing is that they started actually destroying a lot of mosques that were on these lands. A mosque and homes on these lands.
The government was basically trying to, like, what they're trying to do is build a new city within the city. And they, in order to do that, they had to clear what was built on that land. And they were justifying it by saying, oh, well, there was no permit.
Yeah. They were saying like, there's no permits for these or illegally built.
Which makes no sense because these people have electricity. The mosques had electricity, running water. I'm sure they were paying property taxes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And a lot of these people had the papers to show that they legitimately built a lot of these mosques on these lands.
Yeah, so it's like Ethiopian politics is a whole other conversation. Like it's a whole other can of worms that I don't know if we're ready to open up right now, but it's a shame to see that kind of stuff can just happen. And like, and the thing is that the way that they were going about demolishing these mosques is they weren't like putting a foreclosure sign on the door and giving people like 2 weeks notice. They were like, we're coming through, watch out, and like demolishing them while people were still in there.
Yeah, they would literally pull up with a tractor or one of those bulldozers and just start bulldozing. Like and no warning, no nothing. People are still inside.
And it's crazy because I've never actually seen this in Ethiopia before, but they had like military style police with the huge shields and like rubber bullets shooting at people, tear gas. And I was like, because
using live bullets at one point too.
No way.
Yeah, they killed like 3 people.
Because they were protesting?
Yeah, because they were trying to destroy the
Anwar Mosque?
Yeah, the Anwar Mosque in Addis, like, which is one of like the larger mosques. Like that's the mosque I've been to.
Yeah, we all have. It's like a really big one in Addis, and it's very well known. So I mean, listen, the whole city would have came out if they tried to do that.
Yeah, well, that's what happened, and then 3 people were killed for it.
That's so wild.
So that was something that was going on in the past couple of weeks. It's kind of quieted down now, mainly probably because like the government out there has so much control over the media that or the stuff that comes in and out of the country that like our sources for the most part right now are like YouTube videos from individuals in the country.
Yeah.
So, but at one point it did reach a level to where like larger publications like Al Jazeera or like BBC were starting to make posts about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like something that was going on in Ethiopia that didn't get as much attention here. And even in the Muslim world in general, I don't think it got that much attention. Like there were some people posting about it, but
it did a little bit, but like it wasn't something super, super mainstream, which like we've talked about this before in earlier episodes, you know, it sucks that people kind of pick and choose. Sorry, not people. The media picks and chooses what goes viral and what gets more media attention versus what doesn't. Like,
and it can be frustrating when something like OceanGate becomes so big versus all the other atrocities that are going on in the world.
Right.
So, because it all comes down, like before we mentioned, it all comes down to money.
I know.
Like what's going to make them more money? What's going to give them more clicks, right? This OceanGate situation is already big on the internet. Everybody kind of knows about it. It's come like a buzzword at this point. Or like, buzz topic, I guess you could say. But versus something that's like tragic and like people maybe can't relate to as much because it's in a third world country that they don't even know how to point out on a map. Like I remember seeing a video recently of a dude who went to I think like a fair or something, and he brought out a map of Africa, and he asked African Americans. Did you see this?
No.
What?
I was gonna say something else, but finish your point.
Okay,
first.
He brought out a map of Africa, and asked African Americans first off, how many African countries can you name? Tell me why. There's one dude who said South Carolina.
What? South Carolina?
Yo.
That's not even a country. It's a state.
First off, it's not in Africa. Okay.
That too.
So, like, the answers they were getting were so ridiculous. And, like, I think at one point, he's like, can you point out, like, a country on this map? And he didn't say, like, what continent this was. He didn't say this was Africa. He's like, can you point out, like, what's on this map? And he's like, he pointed it. He's like, that's Texas. He was talking about America, and this guy was looking at him, pointing at a map of Africa.
Well, you said he didn't tell him. Maybe he just thought like that was the shape.
Well, he thought the shape of America was Africa.
Listen, okay, I hate to be that person because I know our regular viewers are gonna be like, Amir, you cannot talk. You didn't even know that Rwanda was part of East Africa.
This is to point out. Yeah, because I can't talk too much because like I'm always talking about how my geography is bad, but like at least I know what Africa is. I know like this continent of Africa. I can point out a few countries on it.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say? That was to kind of point out like how I can't really fault a lot of those people for not being interested in what's going on in those countries. They don't even know where it is in the world. They have no they haven't like the smallest thought of where this could be in the world. So like it's almost impossible for them to relate to it.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, think of it this way, right? Like, unless it concerns them, why would someone randomly just know where things are, like know where other places are in the world, especially like when you think of
we used to have a class called geography, but you know
I know but like maybe Canadian geography is different from American. Like I don't know, I'm not American. I don't know what their geography class is like, but unless it's like they have an interest in the world and where things are, like I don't think the average American will know like the each and every country in the continent or within.
No, it's not about knowing each and every country. It's like just even knowing one or two, having some idea.
Yeah,
I think the answer he got the most, and the only answer he got the most was Nigeria. And the only reason a lot of people knew what Nigeria was first off because like there's a lot of jokes and there's a lot of Nigerians in America to begin with, but like the music that's been coming out a lot of time is from like Nigeria, so people are just that's on their mind right now. But that's the only thing they could point out, right?
Dang, so, I thought Ethiopia was like a little bit more known.
I don't. Not one person mentioned Ethiopia.
Like black people?
Yeah, African Americans.
You know, if it was Canada, I'm sure they would have named it. I have more faith in Canadians.
But that's also because like, the American education system has kind of failed them, but that's a whole other thing too.
You said it, not me.
But yeah, so as that whole OceanGate thing was going on, you know, there are more important things going on, like we mentioned in Ethiopia, and also the people in Greece or the refugees who are trying to reach Greece, I'm guessing.
Yeah. No, they were trying to get to Italy. But as the boat was getting there, it sunk in the Greece waters, like in that region area.
Yeah. Which is unfortunately a very common thing, actually, because I remember there was a famous photo that came out years ago where there was a washed up, it's very sad, but it's like a washed up body of a child on the shores, I think Greece or Italy. Yeah. It was like a famous photo that came out to show like the tragedies that are going on. And like how desperate these refugees are.
That's so sad. Yeah. That's actually really heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that's like a regular thing now, because they're always
try to like escape.
Yeah,
that's so sad, man. Like it just makes me like, I don't know, because imagine like you have this hope of like a better life, and you're just like, if I just get that opportunity, and then you get that opportunity, you don't even make it.
Everything happens for a reason. Now you just have to understand that.
I know, but like now I'm sad about it.
Why do you get so?
Because it's like just thinking.
I know
about,
it's sad, but
imagine how excited they were. Like they get on this like boat and they're like, "Oh my god, I'm starting my new life."
Yeah,
and it's not your new life; it's your.
Yeah, they're probably just trying to make it to the next day at that point. Yeah, I don't think they're thinking about even the life that they might live. I think they're just thinking about like, will I survive the next day? Because when you're hungry. When you haven't eaten for days, for sometimes even weeks, you've been drinking maybe salt water, so you're kind of hallucinating at this point because salt water is not safe for the human body. Like, you're so disoriented at that point, you're just trying to make it to the next day. So it's more of a, will I make it to tomorrow versus what kind of life will I live when I get there? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't want to record anymore.
When you're trying to escape something, are you thinking about, oh, I'm going to have such a good life? Or
I don't know. I lived a privileged life. I've never had to escape anything. Okay? Yeah. And now I don't feel...
That would be an interesting question to ask, like, our parents. Because technically, they were trying to escape a situation. And what is the mindset of a person trying to escape a situation? Because we always say, oh, they came here for a better life.
Well, I mean, they did.
Technically, they did. But I don't think they had an idea of what that life would be at that point, or were even thinking about that. They were just thinking about, I want to survive.
Yeah, like they didn't leave Ethiopia knowing that they were coming to Canada.
Yeah, exactly.
They left because the situation there wasn't safe for them. Yeah. And they had an opportunity to leave.
Yeah.
What was going to happen next was like they were relying on Allah.
Exactly.
And that's all we can do, right? But you know, I'm still trying to convince my mom or dad, or even like every time I see Amir's dad, I'm like, so
yeah, he's not here in the country yet, so you know.
He's not. Yeah, I know. Maybe we can like corner him and peer pressure him.
Yeah,
I think it's working because he said maybe now, so it went from no to maybe.
Yeah.
So we're trying to. Maybe we just gotta like bribe him with food.
We'll just record when he's here and be like, oh, yo, just pull up.
But I feel like their story's so interesting, and we don't even like. I've never actually heard like the full.
Oh, I know most of the story.
Do you?
Like why they left.
I know why they left, but I always like...
No, but everybody's story for why they left is very unique. Like my dad's situation is super unique versus like probably why your parents left. Like my dad left because of like political, like personal, like close political issues where like the family's threatened kind of issues.
The feds were after him?
Basically, yeah.
Oh shit, he's a fugitive?
Not for those reasons, but like because of corruption and like things like that. Yeah. Because a lot of our families come from like entrepreneurs and like business owners, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, around that time, business owners were seen as like ways for politicians to make money off of them. And if you try to refuse, they would use the resources they had, which is usually like the army and whatever else they could muscle out of you, like to get that what they wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like, I don't even think I fully know. Like, why did our moms leave? I think they were being forced to like teach or something. Maybe that was someone else's story.
Yeah, that one I'm not fully familiar with.
Yeah, I don't know why our moms left, but I'll I think I'm gonna like peer pressure my mom and be like, they're asking, they want you on. So
yeah, if you have immigrant parents, like you should probably just go up there and ask me like, why did you leave? Like, when did that decision become like? When it become like less of a decision, more like I have to leave, like.
You want to know something funny?
Yeah.
So when we were in like Europe with our moms, my mom had this like this realization, it dawned on her. She was like, wow, I really thought Canada was it, but like Europe is where it's at.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, when she was in Stockholm or when she was in like Spain or Switzerland?
All three. She said it when she was in all three. Like when
Really?
she was like when we were out and about
Yeah.
and stuff, and she was seeing the city and how it was. She was like, wow.
I think it's because like they were mentioning this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded them of back home. Like
Spain,
the streets, especially Spain.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think just like the proximity of being like close to everything, how you're walking through the streets, like even the architecture remind them a lot of Ethiopia.
Yeah, but I think she found it a lot more beautiful. Like she was like, Toronto is like,
Yeah.
I think like in her eyes, she stopped romanticizing it, and she started to romanticize Europe and loved it. And I remember she like said to me, she was like, now I get why you travel so much. I'm like, yeah, like I love going to Ethiopia. I love seeing our family.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to life than just that.
Exactly. Because unfortunately, like design is not really a part of the equation in Toronto anymore.
Yeah, it's like how many people
or
can
even
we
in the
fit?
West in North America in general. But in Europe, design is like at the top of the equation. It's like most like how do we make this? How do we keep the what do you call it? The look of the old, or like how do we keep the history while reusing the space for like what we actually need it for now? If that makes sense. Like you'll see like there's these older style buildings, but they'll fix like the inside of it.
Toronto has some places like that.
Like very few now, and even those places they've been breaking those down completely, getting rid of them completely.
My workplace is I don't know if it's a historic building, but it was like an older one. I'm not going to say where, but like they just built on top of it, like the newer part of the building.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's still part of the equation. Maybe early on in like the 90s or early 2000s when those buildings were most likely repurposed or like refurbished. I believe they were, because I just remember the construction happening around that time. I think that's when they still kind of had that idea or like that motivation to keep the older designs. But now, because of like all the new developers who really don't really have vested interest in keeping Toronto, keeping Toronto's culture and identity, they just want to make money. They'll kind of bulldoze over whatever will be an inconvenience just so they can make it easier to build whatever they need to build.
Yeah, which is like a bunch of compact houses that cost $1 million.
And condos. Yeah.
Let's get the F out of here. Just kidding. Hear about the explosion that happened in Pickering / Ajax? From that
the one on the
truck?
highway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the video?
Yeah.
That was wild.
Yeah. I don't know how it happened though. Did they crash into each other?
So basically what had happened was
there
was this truck driving down the highway and a little bitty Honda Civic was trying to overpass it.
Yeah.
And then he kind of cut him off. And then the truck was trying to slow down because he almost hit him. And then he did end up hitting him. And because he hit his brake so hard, the truck went...
Oh.
And then it went...
And it was full of oil.
Yeah, like full.
Yeah.
And it was that huge... Like, when I saw the video, it looked fake. I almost didn't believe that was real.
Yeah, there's that dude who like had a front view of the whole thing.
Yeah,
right?
you saw that. Yeah, I saw that video too.
I think the thing that made it worse was the fact that it happened right under a bridge. So
no, wasn't it right past the bridge?
Oh, was it right past the bridge?
Yeah,
I just know that the bridge was also like almost destroyed from it.
But like a couple people died because it happened all like on the highway.
Both drivers died, I believe, from that.
That's really sad.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of drivers, did you also hear about the story of the 5 Muslim girls in Minnesota who,
in the drunk driving incident where they got hit by a drunk driver, I believe. Yeah,
and I saw it on TikTok and I was like, oh my god, what happened? Like, how did all 5 of them die? And then I actually came across someone's like, it was like a security camera or something. Yeah, the car was going like 160 kilometers. That's so fast. Yeah, and like just smashed right into them.
Do you think that like that's where technology kind of has to be like? I feel like there should be technology that like protects people from themselves, if that makes sense.
What do you mean?
Like maybe they can build some AI technology into cars and make it like mandatory. I know it would be very hard to make it mandatory, but like, so you know how cars have like crash detection now? So before you get into a crash, like it'll stop for you.
But you can turn that feature off.
But make it so that it's like there's regulations where you can't turn it off. Or maybe, I don't know, it's going to be a tricky thing, but like, unfortunately, there's a lot of crashes like that where people are just driving at ridiculous speeds.
They actually, when he was arrested and they found out who he was, they discovered that he I know.
Crazy. Yeah.
But they found out that he was the son of like a former senator in one of the states.
Watch him. No, he's no way he's gonna get off for 5 people.
Well, he actually had he had history of having like another hit, like a accident like this, where he had impaired driving, and I think he like just got his license back like 2 weeks before this incident.
That's crazy.
And then I was like so invested. I remember I was like deep in this rabbit hole of watching all these videos and news stories about it. And then I saw the funeral and I saw like so many like people from that community came out because it's a
big community.
Yeah, true.
Right?
Yeah, and I was like so shook. I've never seen that many people at a funeral before, and I was like, it made me so sad. Like I was just like, wow.
I think it also was the fact that these girls were apparently a big part of that community.
Yeah.
So like think about like if our community, we lost like the 5 people who ran it. Like if I don't know if they ran the whole thing, but
they're just active members in the community.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. Like see how tragic, because it's not only the fact that you've lost 5 people in your community, like all the things they may have been a part of, they may have been running, like now those are affected as well.
They were like, it was reported they were on their way home from like preparing for a friend's wedding, which is so sad.
Exactly.
Like, I was just like, it like really shook me because I'm like, they were so young. They were like teenagers in early 20s. Like, yeah, Allah have mercy on their souls. But
I mean, inshallah. Okay, guys.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry for ending it on a sad note.
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Before this, I'm going to cut it there, but there's like 20 seconds of silence because we just don't know how to end this episode after like going on such a downer here. But you know what? Not everything's going to be end up positive. Not everything's going to end
on a positive note.
On a positive note.
We're just going to leave you guys to ponder about life
exactly,
now, you know?
Exactly.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Let us know if you guys like this episode. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video to see more. And we will see you guys next week for episode 99.
Almost there, guys. Bye.
Bye.